My dad knows exactly what war is like. Soon after he graduated from high school, my dad joined the Marines and ended up doing 2 separate tours in the jungles of Vietnam. As a curious little kid, I always wondered what that was like, being in the midst of a war. And so I'd ask my dad, well, what did you do? And for my entire life, even up to this very day, my dad's only answer about his experiences in war has been this: I just passed out flowers. No, really, Dad, I would ask him as a kid, what'd you do? What was war like? I just passed out flowers. Kind of makes me wonder what actually happened. What memories you don't want to think about when you've lived through it. And I know my dad is far from the only one. A few years ago, I had a soccer teammate from Central America who was literally kidnapped as a kid, dragged into the jungle, and forced to become a murderous child soldier. I play soccer against another guy from Bosnia who told me one day on the bench of the soccer field about all his family members who had died in the terrible conflict in the early 90s. In broken English, he said, father, brother, uncle, and many more. Or I think of the people from my own church who served in Iraq or Afghanistan, who still live with the scars of war and try to stay healthy amidst the conflict and the brokenness of PTSD. Maybe you too know what that's like. Maybe someone you love has served in war and has come home reticent and reluctant to talk about the memories of what they saw and heard and did. War is hell. Allegedly, that's what a Civil War general said many years ago. I know biblically that's not technically true. Nothing on earth is technically hell, because hell is hell. But if the definition of hell is being totally separate from God and his blessings, then war maybe is as close as we can get. When there's not a good night's sleep, when there's no safety, when there's no security, when there's no peace, then living through a war, fighting in a war, being in the midst of a war, kind of feels like hell. And that's why I love something that Jesus said in the Gospel of Matthew. Jesus, who was living in the midst of the Jewish and Roman tension, who was thinking and speaking about things to come when the Romans would besiege Jerusalem and destroy it nearly forever. In Matthew 24, Jesus spoke these words: You will hear of wars and rumors of wars, but see to it that you're not alarmed. Nation will rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines and earthquakes in various places. All of these are the beginning of birth pains. Think about that last phrase, birth pains. Pains. I mean, Jesus was brutally honest about what life on earth can be like. I'm not sure if some of you ladies have ever experienced birth pains, but they're unbearable, aren't they? They're torturous. Thank God for modern medicine. It's so bad, you just feel like you can't, not even for another moment. And that's what Jesus said about this world, and especially a world that's at war. You feel like you can't. You can't live through it. You can't survive another day. You can't read another headline. It breaks your heart too badly, and it takes your peace. What some people will do for the sake of more land, more oil, more power, more money, more legacy, more influence is enough to make angels weep. But Jesus didn't just talk about pains. He talked about birth pains. You know the great thing about birth pains? Is that after the pains comes a birth. The pains might be the worst that you've ever been through, but something comes that is actually so good, so euphoric, so beautiful, and so much better that it makes all of this worthwhile. It makes all of it actually seem small by comparison. And Jesus wants to put that image in your heart today. In Matthew chapter 24, actually, in the first, 14 verses, Jesus uses the phrase, the end, 4 separate times. The end is coming. The end is coming. And then the end will come. He knows how bad your life can be, how painful. You feel like you just can't keep going, especially in the midst of a war. But he says, when the end comes, when Jesus, who is the beginning and the end, shows up again, then war will end and pain will end. Your fear will end, your anxiety will end, your depression will end, the pills will end, the limps will end, the heartbreak will end, the divorce will end, the drama will end, the temptation will end, the sin will, everything bad will end, and something so good will start that it will make all of that seem small. A birth so euphoric of seeing God face to face that even if you live in the midst of war, even if you've lost loved ones to war, even if they dragged you into the jungle or you had things happen to you in the jungle that you don't even want to talk about with your own kids, Jesus says, don't forget this. These are just the beginning of birth pains. If you saw my last video, I mentioned a Ukrainian immigrant who prayed right on the stage for his people. As soon as he was done with his prayer and I gathered my emotions, I led our church in praying the Lord's Prayer. You probably heard it before. But this time there's one little line about that prayer that caught my attention. Right near the end, we were praying to our Father, and we said, "Deliver us." That's probably just a coincidence of language, but I thought about that word, deliver. A delivery is what changes the pains into the birth. When the bad stuff ends and the beautiful stuff begins. And so that's my prayer for our world today. Lord, deliver us from evil. Come quickly, Lord Jesus. May you, the beginning and the end, put an end to our suffering so that our celebration can begin. Did you enjoy this video? Make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube so you don't miss a single message. Click right here.